Hey everybody, welcome to California Cricket Cast. I'm your host Rohan. I'm joined today by Pratham. Uh,
Yep.
so that was a test match.
Well, a really important one for both of these teams, right?
Yep.
Because it's series is square still. It's still alive.
I mean, is
Both,
a two-test series ever really alive, or is it ever really dead?
this is a very good question. This is a very good
So,
question. I don't have an
so
answer to this.
so obviously, you guys, if you didn't read the title card, we're talking about England versus New Zealand, the first test drawn at Lords.
Yep.
Good to
home
see
of
Test
cricket.
cricket back.
The home of
Good to see
cricket.
Test cricket back at the home of cricket. It's great
Yep.
to hear Michael Holding, um, because like that's the sign that summer has really begun for cricket. You turn on the TV, you watch England play somebody, and you hear the tones of Michael Holding,
Yeah, the dulcet tones.
the dulcet tones,
The
yeah,
Morgan Freeman-esque tones, if you will.
of Michael Holding saying runs for them or just shitting all over a bowler, and
Yes.
it's just fantastic.
Uh,
Because Michael Holding is one of those institutions in cricket, and it'll be a sad day when he decides to put away his microphone because
he's
honestly,
really special, man.
yeah,
He's really special. He's like
fantastic.
Richie Beno. He's the Richie Beno of this generation.
Yeah.
Not as good, but
not as I
definitely.
mean, yeah, Richie was Richie. Richie could carry a broadcast all on his own, and that's not a slight against Michael,
But
because
yeah.
Mr. Holding is a fantastic broadcaster. He's just not Richie Beno, which,
Yeah.
to be fair, who is?
Fair enough. But coming back to this match, right? Really interesting match.
Yeah.
I thought overall, I will just say it for the record because everybody's talking about it. I was disappointed the way that England decided to not go for the chase. I totally understand why. They have an
Oh no, I mean
inexperienced-
like if you're just talking about it from a pure cut and dry cricket sense, of course you don't go for the chase. You have 2 sessions. You have to score 270 runs. Why would you ever go for the chase against a bowling attack the caliber of New Zealand's?
yeah. I mean, although
Like,
what was
it makes no sense. You gain nothing by going for that chase in that situation. With 150, we're having a different conversation.
yeah,
If it's 200 plus, do you risk it?
I
Do you
think,
really want Jimmy Anderson? Do you want the Burnley Lar to end the match trying to block out?
Yeah, no, I think it's a really important point that you make. And I think what really prompted that decision was the fact that those shots from both Crawley and Lawrence in the first innings, wafty, airy-fairy drives around the seventh stump, pretty bad shots. And
Yeah.
I think the fact that they have no Stokes on the side, no stabilizing.
They don't even like say what you will about Joss Butler, right?
Yeah.
Joss Butler would not have gotten out doing that. He would have gotten out in some other dumb way, but he wouldn't have gotten himself out in that manner. He would have
Yeah.
gotten him out, he would have tried to dill scoop that. It would have gone to like third man.
Yeah.
And then just everyone would just be standing there like, why?
What?
Why? Just
Yeah.
inexplicably why?
Yeah, but I think it is a really interesting point that you make, right? In terms of I don't blame Root at all for going that and making that decision because quite frankly it made no sense for him to go for the declaration. Williamson timed it I thought perfectly. I
Yeah.
think he realized that Root was not going to go for the declaration, and as such basically was like, hey, you guys are clearly not going to try to stonewall this, so I better get enough overs. And in the end, even though it wasn't enough, I thought the decision from Williamson, 75 overs to give them 270 to chase, was the right target in mind. What
Yeah.
was not the right decision, and I know you have plenty to say to this, which is why I'm egging you on with this, was the misuse, I thought, of Neil Wagner in favor for a bowler that you don't like, Mitchell Santner.
See, I think my dislike of Mitchell Santner is way overstated. I don't think Mitchell Santner is a bad player. I just don't think he's a good test match spinner. I think he's
Fair enough.
because in an ODI cricket, he's a very useful player, right? He's an excellent field in limited overs cricket generally.
Yeah.
He's a very useful player. He bowls tight. He doesn't give up too many runs. He bats well and he feels well.
Yeah.
So it's not a huge slight on Mitchell Santner to say that Test cricket isn't his format. He's only really playing because we don't really have another Test caliber spin bowler.
I mean, they have Ajaz Patel in the squad, but he hasn't played in donkey
years.
So
it's not. It's. I mean, as I said, they don't really have another option.
And they picked him as a holding bowler, and to be
that's
fair,
fine. That's legitimate. I don't have an issue with that.
Yeah,
my
but
issue
to pull
is
him before Wagner.
Yeah,
right,
Wagner in a match that you're trying to win. You've declared at 270. If you're going for the draw, at least bat to 300, right?
Yeah.
If it's 275 on day five, we have seen teams like India. We have seen other teams try and chase that down and successfully. We've seen the West Indies do that, right?
Yeah.
And you need to give yourself, if you're going to declare in a situation like that, you're clearly trying to go for the win.
Yes.
If that's the case, go to your strike bowlers. Go to Southee and Wagner and Jamieson and let them bowl. I think start with 40 overs of just hostile seam and swing, trying to get after them.
That's a very interesting point. I do think they actually started with pretty hostile seam and swing with that
Yeah,
brilliant spell from Jamieson and Southee. I think the problem
Wagner.
was that, certainly, right? But I think the problem was that Southee had sort of tired himself out after that brilliant display in the first innings. And I think the even bigger issue for them was Neil Wagner was kind of struggling with the foot marks a bit. I mean, he bowled brilliantly, don't get me wrong. I mean, he was the one bowler that you would say in this test match on a day 5 wicket where things are heading towards a draw. I think he was the only one who believed he could still make things happen and get New Zealand to win, right? After a certain point. He ran in, bowled fast, swung the ball, different modus operandi, not too much
this was a different Neil Wagner, which I mean, that's the greatest testament you can say about Neil Wagner is that Neil Wagner can bowl two ways. He can bowl conventional New Zealand swing bowler, or he can just come in and just be a nasty bowler who comes in, gets you in the ribs, gets you in the hands, gets you in the face, and both are fun because he's
very skillful.
He's
very skillful with either of them. I agree with you. I think, and obviously, guys, the problem with Mitch Santner, as we ended up seeing, was he cut his finger.
Yeah.
So he kept on bowling full tosses.
Yeah, he can't grip the ball. I mean, like that's sort of the problem. I think, especially if Southampton, which is where the World Test Championship final is supposed to be held.
Yeah.
If that's the case, I think that and traditionally Southampton is known for having a little bit of spin on offer.
Yeah, it is. It certainly
So
does.
I think, considering the fact that they're probably going to be down a spinner, those finger injuries take a few weeks to recover from. Really.
Yeah.
I think that's advantage India in the spin department in the World Test Championship final. If Santner can't play.
It certainly can. And I will say both sides were hampered with the lack of a proper spinner. Because this pitch did, even though it wasn't assisting spinners that much, it was gripping off the surface. And even Santner, when he was injured, was able to get, I think it was
prior to his injury, he was spinning the ball. I was thinking actually about that. I was like, why isn't Williamson bringing in a leg slip? Because that ball is turning back into the batsman. And I saw both Burns and Sibley, they would fend the ball off and it would just go right to where a leg slip was. And I'm like, if you had a leg slip there, if you had a catcher there, that makes things a little bit more difficult for those guys. Because especially on a day 5 wicket, we've seen what this England team does when you pack the field nearby.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, they panic, right? And they panic against a quality spinner on a crumbling surface. Now, this wasn't a crumbling surface, but it
was too paced.
Exactly, like you mentioned, in on day 3, your prediction was correct about this pitch. It was too paced. The odd one bounced and leapt out and spun off the rough. And then a lot of them kept low as well. So there was definitely an option on the surface to have that, option, right? Like of a proper quality spinner, who's a full-time spinner. And with New Zealand batting deep, Jamieson, can hit. Southee with those amazing sixes of his. There's really
Wagner just deciding that he is the best batsman on the team.
Yeah.
Not named Devon Conway, who rightfully should get all the accolades for this match. I think the 3 best players in this match, two were English players and one was a New Zealander. The New Zealander was, of course, Devon Conway, double centurion on debut in your first innings in Test cricket at Lord's. Congratulations, and you carry your bat.
Rightfully man of the match, by the way.
Yeah, rightfully man of the match. The other is Rory Burns, fantastic. Genuinely fantastic. He is the only reason England had a shot at winning this match.
And actually, coming to that day 4, it was fascinating to see because he's been in horrible form, obviously in international cricket, but in county cricket he's been like averaging, getting 50s in the last 7 of his matches or so forth. So coming in here, he had played himself into form, and you could see it. It was a typical Burns innings because it was very gritty, very nuggety, very strong square of the wicket. Took a lot of time to get that 100 up.
Once he got the 100 up, he decided to just go for it.
Yeah, there was this
try and knock down that lead as much as possible, so you don't have to. I mean, you're not chasing like 500.
He was also batting with the tail, right? And you could tell that he was trying to hit out there. But there was this one shot, definitely the shot of the match, by the way, in my book. Burns, a guy who was scored at less than 40 of a strike rate to get his 100, decided, you know what? Neil Wagner, who's probably one of the best bowlers New Zealand had in this match, apart from Saudi, he slog sweeps him for 6. He goes to the offside and slog sweeps him for 6. Incredible.
Yeah, I mean, also, but I think the third most important player for England was Rain Pereira, who we have made countless jokes about, because, oh my God, England would have lost this match, or because if that rain doesn't happen, New Zealand probably bowls him out on day 3. They bat for for the rest of day 3 and all of day 4, get a big total up on the board. They have all day 5 to bowl them out, and I think, I think they probably get those other wickets.
No, I agree with you entirely. I think rain was the main deciding factor.
Yeah, he's clearly England's man of the match. With all due respect to Rory, who was fantastic and deserves all the credit.
I will say, just some other thoughts that I was looking through. Ollie Robinson again impressed. I know he's not going to be playing the second test match for obvious reasons that we've talked about before. Yeah, I mean, definitely England's bowler of the day. Again, very impressive with his line and length. Seems like a good prospect. Should continue for the Ashes. Obviously, he's had a lot of personal reflections as well. Hope he comes through the stronger and understands the lessons he needed to learn off the field, but on the field, definitely impressed.
Set up Kane Williamson exactly how he wanted him.
Yep, exactly. That was the best
part.
He
came in, he said, this is how I'm going to get him out, and then he does it in the second innings, and it's like, okay, fair enough, you know what you're doing.
Yeah, no, he was excellent. I thought, just some like other thoughts I will mention here. I think one thing that was sort of that'll go underappreciated is Sibley's innings to save the test, because
60 off to 207.
Yes. Sibley is a difficult player for me to watch because I like players who look technically or aesthetically pleasing, and when he bats with that crab-like stance and basically just you
can just say it. He is the ugliest batsman they've had when it comes to how he bats. Since Alistair Cook.
Him and Burns.
At least Cook had a few like aesthetically pleasing shots. Sibley has none of those.
None.
It's just like, why? Why would you do? Like, why would you choose to bat this way? And the way, of course.
I was watching a Ashes preview with like Mark Waugh, and the one thing Mark Waugh mentioned. Mark Waugh, one of the most aesthetic batsmen of the 90s, for the listeners who don't know, and he was like, I like these two chaps, but geez, Burns and Sibley are such eyesores, and I gotta agree with him, man. But you need the guy like that who is not concerned with the way that he looks when he's batting and will bat as slowly as possible to save you a test match. And he did a really good job, and that's the positive sign going forward for England, right? Both their openers have played themselves a bit into nick, especially after the bad tours that they had to Sri Lanka and India. And these are gritty players that they need at the top of the order. Questions for them loom in terms of Zach Crowley, Lawrence, even Pope to some extent, although he looked good.
It's that middle order. It's been their issue for the last... Whenever it's like Ben Stokes and Joe Root, 4 or 5, we don't know who our number 3 is, we don't know who our number 6 is, and we don't know who our number 7 is. So it's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, and I think going forward for New Zealand, they'll take a lot of good things from this test match, but obviously they need to sub out Santner because of the injury probably. They might play Bolt in replacement for him.
Yeah, Bolt is in England now. I believe he's gone through quarantine protocols. Then they're going to test his fitness before the World Test Championship, obviously, but also for the series. They just want to make sure that he's as healthy as he can be, but obviously big trophy on the line. So, And I think with that, we'll end this podcast. It's been pretty fun. although this test kind of came to a boring end, it was active until the second session of the fifth day, which I think is a great thing to see. So another good test and a year of great test cricket. And with that, we'll sign off.